Welcome back to Houston for the Texas High School Coaches Association Convention number 87, from what I understand. We're at the George R. Brown Convention Center. I'm Mark Husenberger, and I'm joined by head football coach Justin Evans of Corpus Christi Miller. Well, Coach, I know the ambitions are high. I know there's more work to do, but Miller enjoyed their first winning season since 2002. A lot of your players weren't born yet in 2002. So that's got to be something that you can enjoy even as you aspire to hire.
Absolutely, that was a big deal for us, and that's kind of what I use with him. A lot of y'all weren't even born the last time Miller had a winning record, and so that was amazing for our kids this year. The buy-in and what have you, from being a 1-9 and 3-27 program prior to our arrival, and then having an opportunity to be successful was huge for our community.
You came about as close as you can get to the playoffs without actually making it, losing out a three-way tiebreaker. That's heartbreaking. What do you tell the players after that? I know you're proud of them. I know they're disappointed.
Yeah, it was. It was disappointing. I mean, for sure. You're sitting at 6-1, playing a great Veterans Memorial football team at Pack Stadium and Buck Stadium, and high expectations, and to have the ball with 2.5 minutes left to go in the game to go win it after you came back from 24 points was kind of deflating. And you could kind of see after that week, it took the air out of us a little bit. Disappointing. But it's something that we definitely learned from. We preached about finishing over the offseason, which is really big for us. And so now it's just about taking that momentum we had from experiences like that, and hopefully those experiences will shape us into the team that we want to be this fall.
How was spring ball for Miller this year?
Great. We don't actually do spring ball, so off season for us was huge. Around April, we started going out and doing more football-related type stuff after we kind of finished our phase 2 of our off-season program, which was a heavy lifting phase for us. And so it was great. The biggest thing is that when you return 10 out of 11 starters on offense, there's a familiarity with what you're doing. Definitely everyone in the room kind of knows the expectations, especially going into year 3. So it's been great for us. Kids have worked hard, total buy-in, and so we're excited.
I asked you about spring ball reflexively, and as soon as I said that, Miller has the lower enrollment, so your athletes have a lot of demands on their time, might be playing other sports and doing other things. So spring ball may not necessarily be part of what Miller does, but you're still pretty excited about what happened in the spring. And describe for us the challenges of being at Miller and knowing that you will take on schools with twice your enrollment. But I know you've got competitors. Maurice Bastian, he's not backing down with his basketball team.
Absolutely.
And I know Justin Evans is not backing down with his football team.
We work well together. I mean, when I got to Miller, it was kind of labeled a basketball school. And so I'm really big on embracing those things and not creating division with them. So one of the first people I was able to talk to when I got there was Coach Bastian. He had a lot of success there, and seeing how we could work together to kind of replicate some of the success that they had on the basketball side and make that on the football side. And so it's been great. A great relationship I have with him. A lot of our kids are dual sport athletes. Matter of fact, all of them. And so what Coach Bastian was able to see this year was, his highest finish, getting to the regional finals, 1 game away from state. And all those kids who played for him played football. And they're much stronger, much faster, tougher. And so he was able to benefit also from those kids being in football in the fall and being able to become better athletes that ultimately helped him on the basketball court.
You mentioned that you have a lot of players coming back from the football side, and it's one thing to be coming back from last year, but as I was preparing for this interview, I saw names like Andrew Body and Cassius Clay, and I had to remind myself, wait a minute, I didn't actually see Miller play football last year. That was the year before.
Yes.
So you have some third-year guys to build around, including your quarterback. So describe what's happening on offense, because these players have had so much high-level experience together.
Absolutely. Andrew, halfway through his freshman season, we made the tough decision to go with a freshman quarterback, and that in and of itself is a learning curve for everyone. Teaches us as coaches how to have more patience, and it was going the speed of the game for Andrew. Was much faster than, of course, he was seeing the previous year as an eighth grader. And so, but Andrew is just a special kid. You know, he comes in half the season, throws for 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns through 5 games. And you could just kind of see, wow, this kid's going to be special. Go fast forward to his sophomore year, and he ends up throwing for 3,455 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 7 rushes. So he had a combined for 41 touchdowns, and just he's a great kid. You know, 3.7 GPA. He number 8 in his class. I mean, the kid is just a phenomenal kid, and so with that, you know, he was just able to really flourish in our system, and so he's got that experience. And so coming back this year, you know, it's huge. And then you look at a kid like Cassius. Cassius started as a sophomore too, going to be a senior this year, and has played a lot of football. And all these guys, out of the 11 guys, we were talking about 10 of them are back, and out of the 10, 9 of them have at least 2,000 snaps at the varsity level. That's a lot of you know, when you're a team like us.
I'm tired of listening to that.
Absolutely. You know, when you think about how many plays we want to run in a game, 90 to 100 plays over a 2-year span, those kids have played a lot of football, and so we're excited that, you know, a lot of it is you know, we have to make sure as coaches we always don't become mundane and redundant, and always looking to get better as a program, because a lot of times you can get some with the familiarity of your system and what you're doing, that can kind of cause a little bit of laziness or a lethargic a way that you approach things. And so we always have to make sure that we're always stressing to our kids about continuing to get better. Yes, you know the system, but we can always get better every single day.
I'm interested to hear about the 90, 100 snaps a game in a high school game with the 12-minute quarters. Looking at the enrollment at Miller, looking at some of the socio-demographic challenges in that community, it's not necessarily the first school I would think that, well, we're going to adopt a hurry-up offense and we're going to run all these plays. Tell us about ramping these kids up to that. You know, first of all, you have to believe in these guys in the first place, and then you have to help make it happen. And you mentioned the patience with a freshman quarterback.
Absolutely. If you look at their style of basketball that they play in basketball, these kids go. And so our thing is that let's take what they do well, getting up and down the court, defending for 94 feet on the basketball court, and fast break type of offense in basketball, and let's see if we can't make that or you know, reciprocate that to the football field. And so we were able to essentially do that. Those kids were natural athletes, able to run and do those things, and so it made it easier. That's the fun type of style. You know, we attributed it, hey, we're going to throw that ball up over the goalpost, go up there and get it. It's like a slam dunking or taking an alley-oop. And so those things are, you know, that they're used to doing, and so it kind of just worked out for the best for them.
We talked about the skill players that you have, the experience they have, and you have some pretty good size as well with Jabril Joseph and Dejon Bisbee. Tell us about getting this offensive line ready for this style of football, because you got to be in great shape to run this offense, especially between the tackles where we're used to looking for 280-pounders. And you need a special 280-pounder if that's what you got for 90 snaps.
Yeah, well, Jabril and Dejon, they play on our defensive line, and I think we just weighed those kids last week, and they're both 320, so they're some big boys for sure. Lots of times what ends up happening is that we play so fast that those guys on defense, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You score fast sometimes, but then your defense is back on the field fast, and so we really had some deep conversations over the offseason as a coaching staff. Said, you know, how can we make sure that we're still being efficient on the offensive side of the ball, but also giving our defense the rest that they're going to need to be out there and be efficient as well. And so that's big for us. Our offensive line has 4 out of 5 kids that are back from last year. You know, they're anchored by Austin Lavelle, who's an offensive guard, a really good, talented kid who's been starting since his freshman year. And then those other 3 guys have been starting since their sophomore years. And so now they're seniors and juniors. So veteran offensive line. They've been in the system and what have you. And so, but as far as relates to Dejan and Jabril, I mean, those kids are they're so disruptive in the backfield. I mean, anytime you get, and then you couple that with another kid, Manny Lozano, who's another 300-pounder. Now you've got two 300-pounders starting, and you've got another 300-pounder coming off the bench. You know, it's a lot of load for other teams to be able to.
And these
block
guys
those
aren't just run stoppers.
No, they'll push the pocket. They'll great at freeing our linebackers. You know, they're two-gap players. You know, so a lot of times, you know, those guys demand double teams, and so which allows our linebackers on defense to be able to come up and make plays, and guards not get on them as quickly as they would like to.
Tell us about the Miller community and what you've come to learn about it. I know you have a CCISD background of having gone to Moody.
Yes.
You really get to learn a community as a coach, and the kids and the family backgrounds that they're from. What's impressed you about Miller since you've been there?
The community. You know, you look at Miller High School as the oldest school in CCISD. It's the tradition with the school and the community is so great. Everywhere I go, I'm meeting a buck. You know, they're once a buck, always a buck. I mean, you're always going to meet them, and that was part of the reason why I came back to Corpus, was to pour back into a community that poured into me. And so being at Alice, everybody asked, you know, how could you leave Alice after 1 year being the AD, head football coach over there, and come to Miller High School, who hadn't had a lot of success? Well, it was because of the community and the following fan base. And the most surreal thing to me was our first year there against Moody, had over 10,000 people in the stadium at Buck Stadium. We were able to pack it out, and just to see the joy on our community's face that now we're back to winning and the pride is back. And so it's amazing to really see our community so excited about what we're doing.
I've had the privilege of covering a few Miller basketball games. Maurice Bastian's a friend of mine, and that's always been enjoyable. But being at Buccaneer Stadium, revered Buccaneer Stadium,
Sure.
with the size of it and the history of it, and right behind the visiting stands, there's Miller High School. Even a couple of signs that say Corpus Christi High.
Absolutely.
To remind you of the tradition. And here comes the football team. They don't need a bus.
Yeah.
They walk in there, and that entrance. There was something special about that. I imagine that is an appeal for the Miller Buccaneer faithful as well.
Oh, man, absolutely. You know, we practice there every single day. So, you know, there's a familiarity. And we play 8 out of our 10 games are going to be at Buck Stadium this year. So there's definitely a home field advantage that goes with there, and kids knowing the field. And there's a lot of pride in it, you know, for our kids, too, understanding that we kind of own that stadium. We kind of take that as hey, this is our home turf. It's named after the Miller Bucks, and so we're going to treat it as such. And so our kids take a lot of pride into playing in that stadium. It's one of the best stadiums I've ever been at, and being in privilege, and I'm just so glad we get to play there every day.
One final question. What are you looking for from Miller to get them back into the postseason and make that into that playoff run I know that you and your players covet?
Sure. For us, it's about staying healthy. You know, we like our chances if we're healthy. But once again, once you want on the smaller schools, you know, one injury can be devastating for a team. And so our deal is really having to focus on how we prepare this season, making sure we don't experience any burnout. And we feel like if we do that, if at the end of the season we're healthy, we've got some guys once district play starts, we like our chances in order to make a run at it this year.
Coach Evans, thank you so much for
joining us.
Have a great season.
Yes, sir. You as well.
And we will have a CCISD Game of the Week on Texas Sports Productions, and the Miller Buccaneers, of course, will appear there many times. And if there are some postseason runs in there, then Texas Sports Productions will follow them as well.
Absolutely.
As Justin Evans, head coach of the Miller Buccaneers, I'm Mark Kusenberger with TexasSportsProductions.com, and we'll be back in a few minutes with Eddie Salas of San Antonio Harlan.